Welcome to the Maximum Vibes podcast. I'm your host, Madison, and I'm here to help you navigate through all of your health, mindset, and spiritual curiosities. If you're constantly seeking ways to maximize your vibrations and your purpose, retweet. We're going to do this thing together. What to do when we can't do anything. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Maximum Vibes. Today, I'm here to talk about COVID-19, the coronavirus, of course. Now, I'm not going to share too much about my personal opinion about the virus because, frankly, I don't think you guys care. We've all been watching everyone's opinions on it on video, on Facebook, and posts, and blah, 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 blah. So I honestly don't feel compelled to give you my whole rundown on my opinion. There are so many conspiracy theories, from the government creating it to kill half the population, to environmentalists creating it to stop pollution. I've heard about it being to put all pedophiles in jail. And of course, there's people that believe that this is us shifting into the fifth dimension as a society. So what I personally believe is that everything happens for a reason, right? And that we as humans can and will speculate about what this is, but no one truly knows. I think that everybody authored this particular virus outbreak for different reasons. Some people needed deep internal rest. Some needed a hard lesson in appreciating their family. Some needed to learn to lean on God and to let go of the obsession of money and success. But whatever the reason being for it being in your reality, I think we can all agree that after this is over, we will never be the same. My personal intuition about this virus is that there will be good that will come out of it. You know, I've had, my ups and downs of kind of feeling a little bit scared or anxious. But for the most part, I there's obviously a heaviness associated because there is a lot of people dealing with some really serious problems because of it. But overall, I do feel opportunistic about the shift and about what is happening in society in general because of this. I actually did a breathwork session one of the first days that we were dealing with all of this quarantine stuff. If you don't know what breathwork is, it's basically, I'm going to butcher explaining what breathwork is, but basically it's a specific breath that you do to move energy through your body, I guess. So it's almost like you lay down and like hyperventilate. It's probably like not a good way to explain it, but you breathe quicker than you normally would, and you're just kind of flooding your body with oxygen, and it moves stagnant energy throughout your body. And it's a very, very interesting process. It's actually one of the spiritual practices that have me believe in magic every time, because what happens in just you laying there and breathing is incredible. So I did breath work, and it's kind of a really good explanation of what's going on in society and with me specifically, because when I first went into it, I was breathing, it was kind of like going in and out, like feeling it and feeling it wanting to take over and not wanting it to. So kind of like resisting the energy flowing through and feeling really uncomfortable and kind of like in pain, and like my body was cramping up, kind of feeling like I want to throw up, and just like resisting. And then was surrendering to the process and allowing it to come through. And surrendering was, what made it that much more easy to go through. And of course there was waves, and that's kind of how I've been feeling now, is like waves of the emotion and what's going on, and feeling it and then feeling good. But overall, there was a state of bliss at the end of once I let myself cry and just make noise and just move my body around in the breathwork session. That was when obviously that lasted a little while, but towards the end of it, there's a cycle that you go through of bliss, of feeling safe, of feeling held. And that's kind of the same thing for really anything, but this in particular, because it's so intense. And for those of us who are empaths and are feeling the panic and the pain of the world right now, if you can allow yourself to kind of go through that process and let it go through you, there is bliss on the other side. There is opportunity. There are gifts. And surrendering to the unknowingness of what is going on is really going to have you be able to feel peace in a time of chaos. So what I want to talk about today regarding this virus is that I believe that we are being called to beingness, right? Beingness is something I've talked about before, and there is action, there is doingness, and then there's beingness, which is your intention, it's your come from, it's your context, right? And in America and developed countries and the places that we're being stopped, essentially, right? We are obsessed with doingness. We have this mindset where our worth is not only directly correlated, but actually equals the amount of content or the tangible result that you can create as a human being. And I don't believe that that is, what life is completely about. I myself am a doer. Like, I love to check boxes. As you can see behind me, I don't know if you can actually see that. I am recording a video because, we're at home. So I figured that you guys might want to watch me talk as well as listen. So why not? But behind me is my whiteboard and I have check boxes. I love that. I am so motivated by doing things and getting them done. So I myself have been called to stop and, go into beingness. And we have been forced to stop working, stop partying, stopping everything simply because we were abusing the action of life. And it is a big part of it, but we were using that go, 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 go attitude to avoid sitting with ourselves and being quiet. Essentially, we were talking over spirit. God was wanting to tell us something and speak to us, and we were talking over him, essentially, like go, 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 so that you don't have to sit and be with ourselves, right? And our demons and our, the things that are going on. And that's kind of why people don't meditate. But yeah, of course, while we're talking over God, we're using and abusing our vocal cords. Of course, we create dis-ease in our respiratory systems. For me, that just makes so much sense. And if you're into chakras, you kind of understand that, I'll get a sore throat if I'm not speaking my truth. I know that about myself. And so, of course, as society, we've been just wanting to, just talk. And it's all kind of BS, no offense, but it is. We don't really value the power of our words anymore. We kind of just say whatever we want, do whatever we want, just go, 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 instead of appreciating, the beingness, where it's coming from and what our intention is. And so, yeah, we need to be quiet right now and we need to listen to what God is telling us. We need to just be quiet, quiet our minds, learn to meditate and listen to what God is telling us and just shh, So what do we do now, right? We're stuck at home. We are in quarantine. We can't do anything. How do I be, right? How do I be? Which is a funny question because how do I is kind of how do I do the doingness of beingness, which it isn't, right? It's kind of just an act of surrender, if you will. But there are certain beingness words that resonate with me, and so I'll share those with you. And some of those are kind of the things that I check in with myself. If anything is missing, I will try to add that into my consciousness. Some of those are creativity, abundance, loving, compassionate, powerful, courageous, passionate, forgiving, accepting, open and vulnerable, connected. Again, anything that is missing in your life is a beingness that you can add. And of course, there's doingness that comes after it, right? Once you're, for example, being forgiving or accepting is a beingness, right? You'd have to be the beingness of accepting first, of forgiving first, and then comes, okay, how do I forgive this person? Do I need to journal? Do I need to tell them? Do I need to talk to them? Do I need to talk to myself? Do I need to pray? How do I do that? But first comes the beingness of, love, forgiveness, whatever. And we can get trapped in the doingness of beingness. So underneath all of this, I just want everyone to understand that this is a time we're really just being called to just shh, just be quiet. Don't do everything. You don't need to do everything. Just allow yourself to be human, a human being, right? Not a human doing. So in the space of quiet and of non-doingness, what comes up, right? Well, for me, I've been having super weird dreams. I've been having, a little bit of anxiety, spurts of depression, and honestly, the number one that resonated with me, and maybe you guys will resonate as well, is I kind of went through a little bit of an identity crisis, like after working so much all the time and then going from like 65 hours a week to 0 was like really crazy, because a lot of us identify ourselves with our career and what we're doing every single day. And once we fall out of those routines, it can be like, holy who am I? And that's kind of what I went through. I've always been like this. I remember when I was younger, my mom would be like, hey, let's play hooky today and we'll go shopping, get ice cream. And I'm over here in like 4th grade, like having a panic attack because I feel guilty that I'm not going to school. I literally remember like crying because I felt bad. And not everybody's like that, but it can fester anxiety, right? When we feel like we should be doing something and we've been living this story our whole life where we have to go, and now we're kind of allowing ourselves to relax, and you can't relax, right? So it's normal that these things are coming up. Let them come up and don't judge them. Just kind of let them float by like clouds and just let them be. You don't have to do anything with the anxiety. You don't have to do anything with the depression. Just allow it to come through. And let your demons catch up to you, right? The anxiety is of like you've been running away from something for so long, being with yourself. And as it comes closer, we've stopped now and they're coming closer to us and we are having these feelings of anxiety. And I want you guys to realize that these things are attached to you, right? Like there is no matter how far you run, you're not going to get away. It's attached to you. It's almost like a ball and chain sort of deal, where it's like this weighted thing that you've been dragging along with you your whole entire life. And if you really allow yourself to stop and allow it to catch up to you, that's when you can look at it and realize that it's actually not so scary, and it's not so ugly, and it's okay, and that you're safe, and you can let that go. And it doesn't have to be a weight anymore, right? It doesn't have to hold you back. So overall, the theme here that I'm trying to portray to you is reflect, don't distract, right? Don't go on Instagram and Facebook and watch all these videos and watch the news constantly and like consume all of this information. Try to, limit your social media and just be quiet. Just be quiet and allow everything to come up non-judgmentally. Just practice noticing things. Now, I was, as I came home from work, I was wanting to be super productive, wanting to dive into my podcast and go back onto IGTVs and cooking and doing all these things. And that's all great. And we should wanting to get in the best shape of our life, blah, 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 all that stuff. That is all amazing. And we should use this time to do all those things that we've been wanting to do. But I kind of got trapped in that until I read this Facebook post that blew my mind and just kind of shifted, helped me balance that out a little bit. So I want to read it to you because, wow, it was really profound. Apologies, y'all. My camera just died, so we have switched to iPhone. Let's try that again. With this open time, you do not have to write the next best-selling novel. Do not have to get in the best shape of your life, and you do not have to start that podcast. What you can do instead is observe this pause as an opportunity. The same systems that taught us we are machines, that live to produce, and that we are disposable if we are not doing so, the systems that taught us monetary gain takes priority over humanity, the systems that create our insecurities and then capitalize off of them. What if we became curious with this free time and had no agenda other than to experience being? What if you created art for the sake of creating? What if you allowed yourself to rest and cry and laugh and play and get curious about whatever arises in you? Wow. So that's pretty much that. We'll go into the energy report now. Your current conditions. So last night, Tuesday night, we had a new moon in Aries. Aries in the house. It is now going into that time of my zodiac sign, so I'm hype. But new moons are, new cycles. They represent the beginning of the stage, right? So this is a good time for us to start thinking about what we want to create and who we want to be, and of course, being curious about whatever is coming up with us and what we're wanting to be and what we're wanting to do with ourselves. And once we have integrated all of this resting and reflecting and all the things that we talked about with the being and just allowing yourself to rest, life will probably naturally want to shift because we'll be in another mind space, right? Mindset. So use this time to get back into painting, do an at-home workout, cook dinner, create a podcast, offer support to your neighbors and peers. Like if you have a skill that like people need, like let's say you love making like meditations, or you are a healthcare provider or something, like offer support and just be a part of the community that's being created right now. With all of us going through this together, what goes around comes around. So, but yeah, like don't feel pressured to do all these things, but this is definitely a good time to set goals for the upcoming week, the upcoming 2-week cycle, because once that full moon comes back around, that's when we reap the rewards of all of the introspection and all of the things that we did around our new project. So create a new project and allow yourself to be creative and to tap into your dream self, the dreamer and the visionary that you are. All right. And I don't want to talk too much about like astrological stuff because I think that this virus is like a huge part of the whole collective energy. But yeah, the objective of this podcast is just to tell you that you can allow all things to move through you at this time. Quiet your mind so that you can hear the wisdom that your higher self is speaking to you, and surrender to the process, and everything will be okay. All right, that's all I have for you guys. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye.